All right, so just like we did with ellipses, we looked at the graphing, then we looked at the writing the equations. So same thing with hyperbolas. We just got done looking at the graphing, so now we're going to write the equations. And I've mentioned before there's a lot of similarities in these two types of functions. Or sorry, not functions. They're not functions. They don't pass the vertical line test. These two types of graphs and equations. And you'll notice again a lot of the similarities in writing these equations. So just like with ellipses, we have the four things we're looking for: the center, the A, the B, and whether it's horizontal or vertical. So both ellipses and hyperbolas, we look for the same four things. Okay, so center, we're told that it's 0, 0. The vertex will tell us our A. The vertex is 2, 0. So to go from the center to the vertex, that's going to tell us our A. So to go from the center 0, 0 to 2, 0, you have to go 2 units to the right. So A is 2. I also, since I had to go to the right for my vertex, that tells me that I'm horizontal. I'm also given the focus, which would tell me my C. And because this focus so to go from the center to the focus, you have to go 3 units to the right. So your C equals 3. Alright, and so we have still need the B, but we do know the A and we know the C, so we can find the B. With hyperbolas, remember C squared is A squared plus B squared. So one thing that you can kind of may help you keep them straight, with ellipses, the equation has a plus sign, and the focal points is subtraction. With hyperbolas, the equation has subtraction, and the focal point equation uses a plus as addition. So they're kind of switched there, if that helps you remember it. Alright, so C squared is 9 equals A squared, which is 4, plus B squared. That means 5 equals B squared, which means B is the square root of 5. So now, the one thing with hyperbolas as you're writing them, you want to make sure that before you jump into it, you pay attention to which one comes first, because unlike with ellipses, it's not always going to be the x first. So this one is horizontal, so in this case the x goes first. So it's x minus 0 squared, or just x squared. Y minus 0 squared, which is just y squared. Hyperbolas is subtraction, and it equals 1. Your A squared is always going to go underneath the first one. So A squared, A is 2, so A squared is 4. B is square root of 5, so B squared is just 5. Alright, again, center, A, B, and is it horizontal or vertical? Alright, so first thing we're given is the foci. We're given both the focal points. That's going to help us find our 0, or our C. It'll also help us find our center, because since I'm given both of them, the center has to be in the middle of those two things. So that's 3 plus 3 over 2 and 11 plus negative 9 over 2. So 3, 11 minus 9 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1. So the center is at 3, 1. So to get to the focal points from the center, so your C from the center to 1, and you just have to pick one of them. So 3, 1 to 3, 11 is 10 units up. So because it's going up, that's also vertical. We've got c over a equals 5 over 4, so that's 10 over a equals 5 over 4. 40 equals 5a, a equals 8. So again, I just cross multiplied 10 times 4, 5 times a, solve for a. Now I can find my b because I know my a and my c. So a squared, which is 64, plus b squared equals c squared, which is 100. So b squared equals 36. B is equal to 6. So we have our equation. Y's go first, so y minus 1. Again, just like when we were graphing, we need it to be conscientious when it's vertical. Make sure you put the y coordinate with the y and the x coordinate with the x, even though the y is being written first. X minus 3 squared equals 1. The a squared is always going to go underneath the first one, so that's 64 and 36. There is your equation. All right, last one. Center A, B, horizontal or vertical. All right, so center's at 3, 0. 3, 0. The vertex is at 3, 2, which from the center to the vertex, that is 2 units up. So that means our A is 2 units. And we're also vertical. And then we're told it goes through the point 0, square root of 8. And that's all the information we're given. We're not given enough information to find our C, because we're not told anything about our focal points. And we're not told anything about our B, but somehow we still have to figure that out. The other information we're given is that it goes through the point 0, square root of 8. So if we try and think about how that point that's actually on the graph can be helpful in any way, the only reason that point would be helpful is if we actually had an equation, which at the moment we don't because we don't have all the pieces. But what we can do is we can at least set up what we know. So we know the y is going to go first, so it's going to be y minus 0, which is just y squared. And then x minus 3 squared. We know our a is 2, so a squared is going to be 4. I just don't know that b. But you might start to see it now. Because I know a point that's going to be on the graph, what I could do is I could just write this as b squared and then plug this point in. So that would give me y squared, which is y is the square root of 8, so square root of 8 squared, 8 over 4 minus 0 minus 3, so that's negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. So 8 over 4 is 2, so I'm going to subtract 2, subtract 2. That's going to give me negative 9 over b squared equals negative 1. So 9 over b squared equals positive 1, because I divided both sides. So the only way for 9 over something to equal 1 is if that something also equals 9. So b squared has to equal 9, so b equals 3. Alright, so now we have all the information we need. We already pretty much have our equation. We just need to put in that last piece that we didn't know. All over b squared, which is 9. And there is our equation. And that is it for section 3, part 2.